Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions.
Accredited sales training. The leadership there came from the Cutco background, just a phenomenal sales program. And they had a website, this trainer teaches them hang up or sign up. And I was laughing. I was like, ooh, that's me.
Right.
So I was an enemy to agents for a little while, even though what made me good at that job is I could teach them what made me good, just like back at doors and windows. I knew how to take the product and make it work. And so with agents, I learned, hey man, you're doing this mailer, you're doing this flyer, and you're not putting a call to action. You're not driving the traffic to your website. You don't got a lead capture device to capture the lead. You don't got anything to follow up with them automatically on the backside. What if I could double your results from your mail or your flyer? Would that be something you'd be interested in? Yeah. So I would teach them how to make this crappy product work, and it was at a great price. So that's what I did. I taught agents how to take websites, and this is back when IDX had just come out.
Right.
I know you know about that.
Yeah. So in 2000 or 2001, pardon me, I opened a Keller Williams office that I owned for 18 years. Yeah. And so I had a Z57 website in 2008.
I bet.
I did. So I remember you guys really, really well. So
yeah, they were a good company. Listen, that was in the days where I'm not knocking them, but they were not they were not a great product. They were an old product. It worked for some people. It was affordable. I am extraordinarily grateful that I spent 4 years. They gave me a foundation to help me get where I'm at now. And I will always look back on that with fond memories. And it's a staple in how I've gotten where I'm at. So I love them. And it was a okay product.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love you, Steve. Don't take it personally.
But they were really good at closing, man. They were really good at closing. They got me. So
we used to have to send cease and desist letters because Einstein's, which did websites for doctors and other companies locally, homes.com, you remember them, they used to send their people to get hired and then have them quit 90 days to come get hired at that.
Right.
And I ran that
like a free training deal. Yeah.
And that's what what made me great is that you want to get great at sales, train it. Yeah. And so every 30 days I ran a training program the same way. And then I became the coach. So it was just ingrained in my DNA, which is why, and I met some phenomenal connections that still serve me today, because there's still some of the legends in this the guy who's president of Side that used to be the president of sales at Zillow for the last 6 years, Steve Capezza. One of my first mentors, I was his coach on his team when he was back at Z57, and I still have that connection. So, and I can name 5 or 6 major industry players in that connection that, the CEOs of Greer Allen at Boomtown, all these different places. I made some phenomenal connections that have served me well in my career.
That's cool, man. Good for you. So you stayed with Z57 for 4 years.
Yeah.
Then where do you go?
I was burned out, ready for a new challenge. I had done everything there was to do. I was running my own team. I'd gone back in sales because I don't want to manage a team. I'll just go sell and make more money with less responsibility. We know that game as well, right? Yeah. And a guy by the name of Eric Pointer calls me up. Well, actually, he called my mentor and said, hey, I want to hire you to build this startup company. And he said, I'm busy and building up conversion. He said, well, who's the next best guy in the country to do this? And luckily, he said, it's Josh Pono. So I get a phone call from him, says, this guy named Eric Pointer is going to call you right now. I told him you're the best in the business besides me. I said, thank you. I ended up going and helping build Agent Jet for Eric Pointer was a master of real estate. He ran a team. It maybe took him 15 hours a week. It had 90 sales a year by referral. He had everything dialed in. He was the next mentor for me. And so I went and did that, because if I was going to build a real estate empire, I should probably learn from the masters who have actually done the job and get another piece and another mentorship. So I was there at Agent Jet. And now, instead of selling $50 websites, I was selling websites and leads and PPC and SEO that was like $2,500 a month.
Yeah.
So it was a much bigger opportunity
That's cool, man.
and a bigger challenge.
So you go to Agent Jet and
Yeah.
you help them build it,
Yeah.
right? And how
Yeah.
long are you there?
I want to say a year and a half or 2 years. Then they made a strategic error by partnering up with a guy that was a very successful, savvy businessman, but he was savvy in shipping and pharmaceuticals. And I remember meeting him, and they said, this guy's going to take us into the future. And the funny thing about real estate lead gen, working with agents is unique. It's unlike, especially when you're selling them software and leads. They behave differently, they act differently. There's some caveats, and most of the people that come in from outside the industry, they try these outside strategies. And not to be arrogant, but it's like, yeah, we thought of that 2 years ago, and this is why it didn't work. And so he comes in and says, we're going to change it. I said, hey, why real estate, man? It's a unique game. He said, well, all my billionaire buddies said I'm a two-trick pony, so I'm here to show up. And I'm like, uh-oh. I'm here, this is a vendetta for you? Okay. And
That's something to prove.
yeah, that's not a good idea, man. And so they came up with this really bad idea where it said, well, hey, we're selling our product for 2,500. Imagine how many you could sell if it was 100. I said, you're devaluing the product, you're devaluing the brand, and it takes me just as long to sell a team who needs a $2,500 a month software with leads as it did to take a $100 sale. So and you pay me based on volume. So you're literally trying to cut my, and they said, well, you got to get on board or you don't. And right around that time, I was really praying and going through my, God, send me something. Like, this is not what you got me doing. And right around that time, I get an opportunity for the next spot.
Okay. And what's the next?
I didn't want to just roll into it. I wanted to make sure I could,
Right.
So I called everybody in the nation, Mike, Boomtown clients, Tiger Lead clients, Realty Generator clients, Sync clients. This is when Sync was a nobody. And I called everybody and I said, hey, I'm calling you because you have one of these platforms, and Agent Jet is considered the latest and greatest. Even Boomtown clients think we're the latest and greatest. And so agents, with those systems, I want the latest one because there was exclusivity.
Right.
And so I created so much of a storm with Agent Jet that all of a sudden Boomtown clients were going to the support and the director of sales going, who's this Agent Jet guy? Who's this? Da-da-da? And so the director of sales, David Yim, David Kim was my manager. David Yim does a secret shop. He's got to find out about Agent Jet. So he becomes an inbound lead. He pretends he's an agent. He does a demo. And at the end of it, he's like, we have to get this guy. And so Boomtown recruited me and moved me to South Carolina and with my family. And so I went there, and that was just incredible.
Yeah. So how long were you with Boomtown?
About 2 years, maybe a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what?
Then I was tired of talking to agents. I was like, I swear to sweet baby Jesus that if I have to hear one more person ask me about lead generation or tell me leads are weak or tell me they don't work, I'm going to lose my mind. I burned out. I've been calling most people in that business. They fail after 90 days, very high churn. That's why, they just don't get it. And so, I was ready to, I finally figured out that software sales pays out 3% of the gross sales.
Right.
And then I got hit by a lightning bolt and said, holy smokes, I know what else pays 3% of gross sales: real estate.
Absolutely.
I've been telling everybody that I'm this phenomenal salesman and I know how to build a real estate business, right? I've been King Kong on the phone. What if I'm really King Kong? Why am I not selling real estate? Why am I telling other people how to do it? I know where to get the leads. I know where to get that. So I moved back to San Diego, no sphere of influence. Called a buddy of mine who used to be he was the first lead ISA that Dan Beer ever had when he was doing 25 million.
Yeah.
Austin Fisher, phenomenal guy.
Yeah.
And I said, hey man, I'm coming back. I'm building a real estate team. You want in? Let's partner up. And I came back and I had 60 grand total, got a place and said, we're going all in. We're taking the island or we're going to die. And we started the Fisher Pono Realty Group in San Diego in 2017.
That's awesome, buddy. That's awesome.
Not too
So
bad.
is that where you are now? Is that
I don't know.
okay?
We can keep going with
Keep going. Keep going. We're good.
I did that for about a year and a half with him. We sold 33 homes our first year.
Yeah.
We sold 33 homes our second year. Most of it was canceled and expired. Realtor.com leads, Zillow leads, Quazoo leads, internet leads, Facebook leads, very much outbound lead generation.
Right.
What I learned very quickly is that although I was very good at knowing how to generate leads, how to call the leads, how to convince the leads that I was the guy, I didn't know anything about selling real estate.
Yeah.
Right. And I used to mock some of the agents of like, oh, this is easy breezy. And then I found this great appreciation for the people that have been in business 20, 30 years that were the true seasoned professionals of like, what do you do with an appraisal contingent when it comes in low? What about contingent? All that stuff that you need to know.
Yeah.
And so despite my success, I was almost broke. I was spending $6,000 a month. I literally presented, Mike, you'll love this. I literally went to 3 lenders, never sold a home, landed here. I knew about MSA agreements. And I literally cold called 3 lenders and was like, hey, I want to introduce myself. I want to talk about partnering up. I'm building a team here in real estate. And I was like, I need $2,500 a month for 12 months. And then we're going to go up. And they're like, how many homes you sold? I'm like, 0. And they're like, you want $2,500 a month from me? Yeah, we're going to do this, 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 and this. And I told them the story. And they're like, do you know how broke I'd be if I gave every agent 2,500? I said, that's cool. Don't care. None of them have ever done what I've done. And I've done this stuff and I know what to do. And so one was crazy enough to give me that. And we ran and we did well. But after about a year and a half, I didn't know about building the business. I didn't know about overspending. I didn't know about red light, green light. I didn't know about 135s. I didn't know about any of this stuff. Right. And I know a lot about a little. And so I realized that if I was going to build the empire and get to where I wanted to go, I needed to get much more efficient and much more knowledgeable about the actual business of real estate. And so I ended up partnering up with a randomly one night. I get this every single little opportunity, by the way, I didn't look for it. God just kept sending me this, hey, this is your next spot. And it would just pull me and I would just go.
Yeah.
And
that's the way it works, man.
I would risk and I would bet and I would take a leap of faith. And my wife would look at me and she's like, what are we doing? I'm like, we're on our way. And she's like, when are we going to be there? I'm like, we're almost there. And she's like, you keep saying that. I'm like, and we've never been closer.
Right.
We're getting closer. We're going. And so I get this random email by the guy named Brian Kane. I'm sure you know who he is.
I do.
And he's a Gary Keller top 100, and he's looking to go to level 7, and he sells 120 homes every single year, and he's looking for a lead listing agent, my specialty, and he's looking for possibly a sales manager to get him out of production. And I get the cherry of, man, if I crush it and kill it for this guy for a while, I get to take over his book and help run the team, and that's all stuff that I've been preparing for a decade.
Right.
And on top of that, the amount of money that I'd have to pay in splits and whatnot to not have any expenses. And I'm feeling the pressure and the weight, and I can get the coaching, the training and everything. I'm like, I'm in.
Right.
And I went with him and I was there for 3 years. First year with him, I did 33 deals. Second year, I did 50. That was 2020. And I was helping manage the team, and I was growing the team, and things were going really, really well. That's
awesome. Brian's a great guy. I obviously know him through Keller Williams and owning, the market center in Escondido. Brian and I dealt with each other quite a bit.
Yeah,
and
he's my big brother.
When I left Keller Williams, nearly all of our agents went to his North Inland office. So so we got a chance to work together quite a bit. So you're with Brian for how long?
About 2.5 years.
Okay.
Yep. And then well, then I started, then it came time to where it was like, I was really spending a lot of time. I was doing 30 to 40% of the entire team's production. I'm doing management. And I realized that it's like, hey, if I'm going to give up on building my brand and build him and go that route, then we need to form a different level of partnership. I can't just be an agent, a regular agent with splits and stuff. And so, it was time for me to move on, and it was time for me to go. And at the same time, another opportunity, I got invited to go help Guy Ravid and Ryan Ahern. They were part of the Altman brothers from $1 Million Listing LA.
Yeah.
And they were trying to really get their business and their brand going here in San Diego. And they had offered me, I could keep the Pono brand. I could help with the Ahern brand. Ahern does 60, 70 deals a year, solid guy. And I could also do the marketing for all 3 brands and for the Altman. And that started to be like, all right, cool. I can do luxury with lead generation, all that. I can see if I can crack the code of how to launch a brand there. I can do my Pono business. I can do that. Man, that's fun. Multiple brands. And I love that entrepreneurial business, break stuff down. And so I ended up making the jump because I used to watch that show when I was on Z57. And when they got Jacob as their first assistant ever on that show, I saw Jacob, and he's a guy that makes millions of dollars a year now. He's done an incredible job. I used to see him and competitively and enviously be like, I could smoke that guy. I could crush that guy in sales. And I had always kind of had that in my back of the mind. So here I am thinking this is a manifestation of God just falling into me. And so, it's hindsight looking, backwards, you're always like, maybe that wasn't from God. Maybe that was just you kind of looking for an easy way out. And I went with them for a while, which was a lot of fun and a lot of experience, and started doing some $10 million stuff and some higher stuff. But really quickly with it, I knew almost instantly when I was there, it wasn't the right fit for me. I felt like a square peg in a round hole. I felt like a fish out of water. Lots of changes, very different, quick changes and stuff. And it just wasn't for me. And so what I ended up partnering up with First Class Real Estate. First Class Real Estate, the founder, like the Gary Keller of First Class Real Estate, his name is Ryan Finch. And I met Ryan Finch back when I was selling websites at Agent Jed, and he was a guy doing 500 sales a year. He had the REO banks. He was getting 30, 40 listings a day sometimes. And he was a systems entrepreneur, working 35 hours a week, living in a mansion, just humble Christian guy. And he'd become like a big brother. He used to call me back and I need another system and another system. So I loved him because he was a multiple client, right? Yeah. And over the years, he had kept trying to recruit me. When he was building his first office in Virginia Beach, he said, hey, why don't you build an ISA team for me? You've already done all that. I said, dude, I'm not going to Virginia. Get out of here. Yeah. He called me back when he first franchised, and he had 3 offices. And every time this guy was checked, I just watched him go like this all the time.
Yeah, he wrote a book, right? 500, how to do 500 deals a year and not die or something like that.
Ryan started out as a plumber and just decided one day he was going to build a business. And he's a guy that has massive mentorship around it.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.